Thank you very much, program directors. My special greetings to the representatives of the Ministry of Health, representatives of Lagos and River State, and a very special greeting to the representatives from the private sector, especially my two brothers who are sitting up on the stage, my brother Aliko Dangote, and my younger brother Siwa, our Commissioner for Social Affairs, members of the Diplomatic Corps, all protocol observed, but a very special greeting to the volunteers who, in a way, have brought us here today. This morning, I jumped out of bed from Addis Ababa at 3:30 in the morning at this time, which was probably 1:30 in the morning, Lagos time. But I was very energized as I did that. Energized because I knew I was undertaking a very special mission. A very special mission that signals that solidarity amongst Africans is alive. A signal that Africans are their brothers and sisters keepers. And that was very energizing. I also thought, as I was flying here, that indeed this is a very special mission, because the AU is known for deploying soldiers to wars and to conflicts. But this time, the AU is not deploying soldiers to conflicts, but is deploying health workers to go and work and help their brothers and sisters, especially in Liberia and Sierra Leone and Guinea. As we all know, the Ebola outbreak in these three countries in particular is unprecedented in terms of its location, its duration, the number of infections and deaths. But more importantly, it has caused such panic and fear in the world. But it also has severe impacts on the families, on health workers, on women who are at the front line of the disease, and it interrupts the schooling of children, some of the economic activities in these countries. But having been to these three countries and seen the courage of the people in those countries and the efforts that the governments were making, and let alone the heroism of the health workers who are striving to get this epidemic under control, I came back with hope, and not only hope, but with determination and conviction that indeed, together, we can stop Ebola. And most importantly, as a result of the strain that Ebola has brought to these countries, we realize that there is a severe shortage of health workers. And even though the AU had sent a modest amount of volunteer health workers to these countries, it became very clear and obvious that we need to send a lot more. A lot more doctors, technicians, clinicians, epidemiologists, nurses, lab technicians, and so on, that can help and bring this epidemic under control. And of course, less than a month ago, the AU convened a business roundtable on Ebola in Addis Ababa to discuss how to work together with business to deploy larger numbers of health workers under the banner of ASEWA. we agreed to work together to mobilize resources so that by the end of this year, we would have sent 1,000 more health workers on the field to fight this disease. I must say, the private sector, nations from a founding list of 16 companies or groups of companies and families. And maybe just to give an indication of who they are. And I'm giving this indication to encourage those that have not done so to also follow the lead. We have MTN, the MTN group, which led in terms of pledges, gave us $10 million. And we have our brother and the son of the soil here in Nigeria, the Dangote Group and Foundation, which gave us $3 million. And we have our brother in Econet Wireless Global Limited, who gave us $2.5 million. Others are not here, but I'll mention them. The Motsipe family gave us $1 million. African Bank gave us $1 million. Stenbeck family, $1 million. Coca-Cola Africa and Eurasia, $1 million. Quality Group, $500,000. United Bank for Africa, $100,000. Barclays Bank Group Limited, $500,000. Little Group of Companies and Vivo Energy, $1 million. Old Mutual, $500,000. NetBank Group, $500,000. Shoreline Natural Resources Limited, $100,000. Syngenta, $350,000. Vodacom, Safaricom, and Vodacom together, $1 million. In addition, the African Development Bank pledged $10 million towards this combined effort. But I must say that the companies and the banks made these financial commitments, and along with them, such companies as Standard Chartered Bank, Quality Group, Lilycom, Deloitte & Touche, Kinevic, Appleby, and others are contributing other competencies and of course the networks towards the solidarity efforts of this Ebola. So it wasn't only about cash, but cash is very important, but they are also giving us other competencies that we need in running this mission. These contributions are indeed very generous, and we would like to thank, and I want you to give a big round of applause to all our brothers and sisters in the company, but also to encourage those who were not there on the day. It's not too late. You can still give whatever you can, because the epidemic is still proceeding until the free countries and others, and Africa as a whole, is declared Ebola-free, like Nigeria has been. The donations will still be welcome. Of course, at the round table, we announced a fundraising campaign by mobile network operators to raise resources from African citizens to stop Ebola. This came about because a lot of citizens of the continent were saying, we are not health workers, we are not business people, we are not governments, but what can we do? We also want to be part of this campaign. And of course, the network operators responded, and that this campaign is going to be launched today. And of course, all of us in this hall and elsewhere on our continent will be responding by sending an SMS to stop Ebola to the number 7979. And these donations can be made through Africa Against Ebola website. So those are the two areas where you can still give. As we launch the campaign, our special thanks go to the companies who helped drive the initiative. Airtel, Econet Wireless, Etisalat, Tigo, MTN, Orange, Safaricom, Vodafone Ghana, and others are still working with their regulators and so on, and we hope that at the end of the day, all the operators will come on board. We call on other network operators across the continent to join the campaign by providing our citizens with an avenue through which they can help and contribute and stop this epidemic. Of course, our strongest gratitude goes to the men and women who are today here, who are part of the ASEWA volunteers, who have just completed their pre-deployment training, and who will be joining the volunteers from the African Union already in the field in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. The ASEWA volunteers, working with other health workers and volunteers from the 3 countries, along with others like MSF, Red Cross, Samaritan Pets, and others, will be in the front line, and they must remain in our prayers. We thank you for your courage, your commitment, and for embodying the spirit of Pan-Africanism. We thank the federal government of Nigeria for supporting the deployment of ASEWA Nigerian Corps and for the contributions of the various states to this effort. We also like to congratulate the Nigerian people for mounting a very effective public health response to the threat of Ebola, and to a point where today we are happy to say Nigeria is Ebola free. But we like to make a plea to the airlines to show the same solidarity as these men and women of Nigeria and other nationalities who are already there have shown of solidarity. These countries feel very isolated, and we hope that the airlines will find it in themselves to follow the example of Air Ivoire to resume the flights to these countries. And so that's my plea. And I also have another plea, that when these health workers come back, they should not be stigmatized. People shouldn't say, oh, you're coming from Liberia, oh no, I don't want you to come anywhere near me. We should look at them as heroes, as people who have given their energy, their time, their lives, so that our brothers and sisters in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone can feel warm, feel supported, and have more strength to deal with this epidemic. And we should know that they are doing this not for themselves, not for money, but for the love of humanity. And we are very grateful to you. But we need to also, as citizens, and to encourage everybody you meet to send this SMS. And not only once, you can send it as many times as you can. So we need to support our governments and make sure that these 3 governments don't feel isolated and alone. So I'd like to thank you, thank everybody who's here, and to wish you a good stay in these 3 countries, but also that you come back healthy, safe, and enriched in your careers. Together we can stop Ebola. Asante sana, merci beaucoup, shukran, obrigado, gracias. I thank you.